Hey y'all, welcome back to Chatting with Coach Amy. Today I have another Amy. This is Amy C. Tell them, hey, Amy C.
Hey.
And it's so funny because it's like just me and you talking, but we know other people are going to listen later.
Yeah. Hey guys.
I love it. That's right. That's right. So Amy C, I read your little thing that I asked you to fill out for the post later, and it's you found me through my grocery hauls. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's how I originally found you, was doing all your Walmart hauls. And what I loved about that was I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to buy. And it just made it
Right.
so simple. And so yeah, I think that's where I first found you, and then I started following you from there. So
I had you hooked. I love it.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Amy.
Okay, I am married to my wonderful husband, Keith. We've been together for 21 years, and we have two kids. Our daughter, Meredith, is almost 19, and she is a freshman in college. And then our son, Evan, is almost 16, and he is a freshman in high school. And then we got a cute little doggy, Cooper, too. So
cute. Okay,
yeah.
So your husband's name is Keith, right? Is that what you said?
Correct. Yes.
Wes's middle name is Keith.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's very interesting. Very interesting.
And my family, my boys are all hunters too, which was another part of the connection and the draw. I was like, oh my gosh, we're a lot of similarities there. So
yes, we do have a lot in common. We do. I love that.
We just have less venison in our house.
Oh. 10 deer a year over here.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love it. So you'll be in Nashville in July at the conference.
Yes, I'm so excited.
With your mama, right?
Yes,
with your mama.
Yes. I'm dragging her along with me. She's excited. So it should be a fun girls trip. Looking forward to it.
That's great. I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. At the moment, we only have 4 spots left, everybody. Just 4 spots. So if you want to come, you better get in there.
Yes, sign up now.
So excited. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So it's surreal. And the whole time I know I'm going to be like, it's just going to be odd, just really surreal. So I'm excited. Okay. So did you work full time? I think you did say that.
Yes.
So
yes.
We'll get into how you found THM, but I want to change things up a little bit because I feel like my podcasts are always like the same little template. I'm gonna keep people on their toes. So since you've gotten more familiar with THM and it's began working for you, how do you implement the THM, especially timing and packing your food in your busy schedule of working full time?
Yes, so I work from home 2 days a week, and then I'm in the office 3 days a week. So I have, I just make sure, on the evenings that I'm going into work the next day, I make sure that I have my meal, my lunch packed for the next day. Sometimes my breakfast too. For breakfast, typically at the beginning of the week, I'll make my breakfast and kind of snacks. That's what I tend to prep. So I make those ahead of time, and then I, will package those. I use those mini cups, either the condiment cups. I have both sizes. And so that's great for my prepping, for like PPP and stuff like that. But then, I use those to take like my ranch dressing to work, or Coach Canada's peanut butter. I've got to have all those yummy things too, whether I'm at home or at work. So those help me if I package those and take those with me to work. So I just make sure I always have some kind of grab and go for the morning, especially in the mornings that I go to work. If I'm here, I can figure it out. It's fine. But for the days I go into work, I'm usually eating in the car so that my timing can work out well. And that's perfectly fine. It kind of is around the time I'm dropping my son off at school anyhow. So about carpool line, I'm waiting and I'm eating.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite things to prep, like your breakfast? What's a couple of your favorite things to prep for that?
So a lady named Jennifer on the main THM page a couple years ago posted a breakfast casserole that has become a family favorite. We use it for all of our holidays. It's absolutely incredible. So I make that usually about once a week. or really kind of every other week, I try to do either an E or an S breakfast that I make ahead of time. And then I usually always have stuff kind of prepped for the alternate fuel when I'm not baking ahead of time. So I do that. I also have, since watching your lives and everything, I've gotten into the overnight cinnamon squares and the biscuits. And I mean, I was intimidated by those before, but watching you do them, it's like, oh, this is, yeah, it's easy peasy. I got it now. So those have just become amazing. I got biscuit cutters today, so I can make them just like you and get them all nice and fluffy. So can't wait to try that out. And then really for me, again, the things that I kind of, it's the peanut butter, that ranch dip that I make, that's just, it's a simple ranch, but it's so good. I'm an extremely picky eater. Prior to THM, I didn't eat any fruits or veggies. Yes. If it was green, I didn't touch it. I have weird food sensitivities, if you will, right? To like texture and stuff. So it's taken me a while to start to eat my fruits and veggies like a grown woman that I am.
Well, I'm so proud of you. That makes me happy.
Yes. So I love that I've got those things. I mean, honestly, it's like every day when I get to eat, sometimes I try to juggle my fuels, but I'll get kind of conflicted because I want to eat like broccoli and cucumbers with my ranch so bad for lunch, or, I mean, it's so silly, but it's like those things truly make me happy. Between my ranch dip and that peanut butter, I get conflicted, like, ooh, which one do I want more, right? So those things are what truly makes me happy, where I never really feel, deprived at all on those. So I really try to make those. I make the PPP ahead of time, the secret big boy. I like to have those after. I have to hide a lot of stuff from myself, right? I love the fact that I can have okra and just blend it on up. So that's been great. But that's typically what I do. The freezer blender waffles, I love those too, because I can have them, on the go in the mornings with some of the bacon, or I can make sandwiches out of them as well for lunch. So I really like having those for lunch too.
Yeah, so that's the blender freezer waffles. Are those in Trim Healthy Table? Yeah.
I think so. I have them all. I can never keep them. I have a sticky note in my pantry that tells me what I make frequently and which book and the page number.
I love it. That's awesome. I love that. Y'all, this girl is so organized. She is so organized. So just to give a little shout out, when I have a buds group starting, I have a bud from the previous group come in and just do a little, hey, you guys, I survived. You'll survive too. This is what to expect. This is how I did it. Pep talk, And so Amy C was that for me. You did Winter Buds 23.
Correct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were my Spring Buds spokesgirl. And I was like floored. Like I felt like I knew you a smidge, right? But I was just like, oh my word, this girl is amazing. And so we're going through Atomic Habits in Blooms, and you got some Atomic Habits, girlfriend. And so she actually spoke in Blooms for me a couple weeks later and just shared all her systems. And I'm hoping you'll share that with us in a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, I have been thoroughly impressed with you. And it's a joke in Blooms that Amy C is the first one to post her accountability at night. And that was one night about 8:00, and I'm like, I'm going to be at Amy C. And I don't think I did. I still don't think I beat you. And I was sitting there ready. I know, I've never fought again. I love it so much. I love it so much. Very good. Okay. So what is something that you like to prep for your lunches? Are you packing leftovers or what are you doing?
I try to make sure that on the days that I'm going into the office that I've prepared a decent meal that I can have leftovers for the day after. But if not, I can do my freezer blender waffles. It's super easy. I just kind of take them deconstructed and make them at work, and make a sandwich out of it at work because I like them toasted. Or Wassa crackers or something like that. So that's typically my go-to if I don't have something prepared. I'm also very blessed in that where I work, we have a cafeteria, and they have salad bar and a grill line where I can get grilled chicken and green beans with every single day that's going to be down there. So
Okay.
I've got that as even kind of a tertiary backup option, but
Mhm. Mhm.
so I'm lucky with
That's
that. But that's what I try to do, is always make sure I have leftovers.
very cool. And I just need to know, what do you do? What is your job? What are you?
I'm an operations manager at one of the credit bureaus.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've been there
Ooh,
for 21
that
years.
sounds interesting.
It's crazy, right? Super stressful into quarter times. We got
I
issues left and
bet.
right popping up, but it's great. I've been there for a
Yeah,
long time, so I really love the people I work with. So it's great.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I
Yes.
love that. I'm so proud of you. That's great.
Yay, thank you.
Okay, so how did you find THM?
So really random story. A family friend had lost a lot of weight, and so of course I was intrigued, and I was
Right.
looking through, and someone had said, "Did you do THM?" And they probably said Trim Healthy Mama, and I was like, "What in the world is that?" She indeed was not doing THM. However, I started Googling, and then I found the Facebook page, and I think I found a YouTube video of Serene and Pearl, and I was kind of like, oh, and I was just immediately intrigued. I had never dieted or exercised or eaten
Yep.
healthy a day in my life, but it
Miss
was
no
getting
vegetables.
and it was getting to the point where it was catching up with me, frankly.
Ah,
And
yeah.
so I found that, and I kind of started dabbling in it. And I kind of had that all in personality. So I started ordering super sweet and the
Yep.
cookbooks and all that kind of stuff. But we were living, we were building our house, so we were living with my parents for a few months, and then my husband's family for a few months. So it wasn't really the right time to implement it all, but I kind of kept soaking it up and going from there.
Good.
So that's how I got introduced.
So a lady that lost weight wasn't doing THM, but it was somebody's comment under her post,
Correct.
and you found it. That is the best I've ever heard.
Right? Right? What a blessing that ended up being. That was just,
I
yeah,
love
in the
that.
right place, right time.
So what
So
year was that?
that was back in 2016. So I've kind of
Wow.
followed and known THM for a long time, and it's just really taken a while for me to get it all together.
Sure.
So,
Sure. Yeah,
and
I
make it
found it in
work for me.
2017, the beginning. So right after you.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's awesome. I went back not too long ago and looked at when I joined the main Trim Healthy Mama group, and it
Uh-huh.
was December of 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jennifer must have talked to me about it, or I'd heard about it, and I'm like, yes, you're fine, we'll join it. But then I actually touched a cookbook in January, and I was like,
Okay.
let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
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 That is so cool. Yeah, you're right though. Starting in the middle of a move and a house build and not in your own place,
Yeah.
that would have been tough. But I love that you were like, that's okay. I'm just gonna learn. And that's something that I really encourage buds. And I've tried to be a little more vocal about that. And I did it in this group, especially halfway through, a lot of people start fizzling out. I'm like, hey, no, we're not fizzling out. No, we're just going to use this time to learn. So
Right.
what? You can't be 100% on plan. That's all right. I didn't say you had to join buds and be 100% on plan. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
People think that. And I know a lot of people have that perfectionist thing, but that is not going to fly. It's just not.
Right.
So, I just really encourage people, just if you're in buds or you're in other group coaching, or if you're just hanging out, just take time to learn and implement things slowly. That's just
Mhm.
the best way I've seen for the majority of people.
No, I completely agree. And I'll tell you, even for myself, I remember there was a period of time where coming into work in the morning when I was there, 5 days a week, I wasn't able to get my timing down for breakfast. And it was like, oh, well, if I eat now, it's not going to be at least 3 hours. And I remember going and grabbing the chocolate chip muffin from downstairs at the cafeteria and just being like, I guess I'll just eat this. And I was really guilty of letting perfect get in the way of better. And coming from
Yeah.
someone who's had such bad eating habits over the years, that was wrong. There was no way I was going to do perfect because I didn't even like half the foods, right? So it took some
Right.
time for me to get acclimated to that. But as many times as I kind of started and stopped, what was good from that is all the lessons learned that I was able to kind of glean from that on what didn't work for me in the past, right? So that I could tweak it and make it work for me now. So there's still goodness and a long way around, I guess.
There is. Absolutely. That's right. I mean, and I think in all of life, we're going to experience challenges, and they are opportunities to make better decisions next time.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. So got it nailed down now, I would say. I mean, just in my expert opinion.
Trying.
So just share, and you don't have to be specific to group coaching, but just systems that you have in your life to kind of be more on plan and on track and in control of what your decisions are.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, I really did, coming into this, I knew everything I've done in the past and kind of what wasn't working for me. I knew I would burn out. And that's something that I've done in the past, is when I do go gung-ho like I have, feeling like I've got to make all the things, do all the things, be perfect, stay hydrated, right? Just get overwhelmed. So what I committed to this time was just making sure that I was, on plan. And then it kind of started from there, because I felt like I kind of knew the basics. It was easier for me to jump right in. It was a little scary starting January 1, for me, just because prior to that I had been, doing I was just eating so poorly. And so I was like, okay, no, I'm doing this. And for me, it was making that commitment. I've invested in this. I've tried this so many other times. Like, do it for the right reasons, do it for yourself, and just commit. So I made a goal, at the very beginning, just reset, restart, refocus as many times as I needed to. Just don't quit, because that's what, got me in the past. And excuses, all the lies that I would tell myself, in the past, where it would be okay for me to go off plan just this one time, or yes, you've worked hard, you've lost X amount of pounds, you deserve to have an off plan meal and celebrate. It is 100% a lie. And I didn't realize it until this time around, right? Where I was kind of, in retrospect, being like, oh my goodness, like those were all lies I told myself, lies in my head. To go on vacation and be like, oh, it's okay, I'll get back after vacation. Do you know how many times I got back after vacation? Never. It would be 6 months later. My sweet mama does THM, and she would be like, are you still? And I'm like, yes, I can get back on plan anytime I want to, right? Again, and I just was lying to myself, making excuses. So I just knew I had to get my mind right. And for me to get my mind right, I had to put some of those systems in place, just because I had to keep it at the forefront of my mind and make sure I held myself accountable. So that was making my goals present. I had them on my phone. I have them in my binder, doing the prep, but not prep to where I killed myself, right?
Yeah.
It had to be prep that was doable, sizable. And I think that's where, your coaching helped. Keeping it simple. So I definitely try to prep where I can, but I prep small things, right? It's not meals for the whole week or anything like that. I'm also, in coaching, we have accountability posts, we have tracking. I fell in love with those things. That was just what my kind of OCD mind needed, right? It was like, yes, let me do this. And I would look forward to that every night. I have reminders in my calendar for all the group coaching things that we did in Buds, now in Blooms. So I always know those are there. And again, that keeps it front of mind for me. And that's what I needed. So that's really been helpful. And then my favorite is really just my progress pictures. I do take those. That's how I can see, regardless of what the scale says, I can see side by side, and it reminds me how far I've come. So
and
that's
you have
really
come so far, man. They're amazing.
Thank you. So all that helps, and I mean, just shout out to you for the way that you have Buds and Blooms organized. I mean, I thought Buds was great, but then when I jumped into Blooms, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is amazing. And it's excuse me, for me, it was 100% what I needed to keep me going on my journey, so that I know that I'm not going to fall off the rails again. And I mean, I know you're not the type of coach, you're not going to come hunt me down, but all you other THM ladies in our Blooms,
they will.
If y'all see me not posting my accountability post, something's gone wrong. Message me, please. Stalk me, make sure I haven't fallen off plan. No. But I mean, honestly, at this point, I've really worked hard to commit this to a lifestyle. And, you know,
Right.
those little systems and things that I have just really help with that. And I've got to be consistent or I'll fall off. And that's where I like Atomic Habits. I mean, those little things that come out of that book are just, they're just such nuggets of wisdom there. So it's really applicable. So I love that too.
We have only scratched the surface of that. I'm kind of taking a break because I started my schooling last week. And so I needed to take a little break. So having some guests talking and stuff. But I plan to get back into Atomic Habits because I know there's so much more we could dive into to just help everybody. You know, in Blooms, it's something to keep us motivated and keep that consistency going, you know?
Absolutely. And it works. I mean, it truly does.
Yeah.
I just love the way you have the program structured, and it's just, I just feel so blessed to be able to be a part of the community. And I mean, that's another thing too, right? All the young, wonderful ladies that are in the group, and it's just amazing how these folks that I didn't even know, I feel like I know now through the
Yes.
lives and just us cheering each other on. And
Yeah.
so it's really remarkable. So
Yeah,
thank
I mean,
you.
you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I mean, even just in conversation with my family, like over the weekend, we had Bella's birthday party. Then we had my family was here Saturday evening for Easter. And just in conversation, my family, just talking to different ones, we were talking and somebody said something about an alarm on their phone. I was like, oh, my client, Amy C, she has all kinds of alarms on her phone. And then they talked about, I brought up Carol. It must have been something about Pennsylvania. I was like, oh, I have a client in Pennsylvania. Her name's Carol, and she lives in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, where the groundhog lives. and some of my family still don't quite get the reach that I have, or even what I do. They don't know, and that's fine. That's okay. But it's just funny because I just blurted out, you know, and Wes knows y'all too. And so, I mean, it's just really neat. And I'm so grateful for y'all. Are you in the new Blooms yet? Or are you still waiting out your time?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right. I have to wait a little bit. So I'm excited to get over there. I know you've got, no, not yet, because we were out of town last week. So I'm still trying to catch up on what I missed.
That's okay. That's okay. So I did make a video like showing what the new Blooms program looks like. And it's restructured. And I think your type A sweet self is gonna go cuckoo crazy.
It's gonna make my checklist heart happy. I know that.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So I'm excited about that. New and improved Blooms. And it's going to be a fun month of transition to get everybody over there, but there will be no Bloom left behind. Yes. Admin Darlene is watching the list, and we're going to make sure everybody gets there that wants to be there. So I'm really excited about that. So let's talk about your progress a little bit. Maybe we know that you were not, you know, eating on plan vegetables and stuff is not something that you would typically have done. So what does your day look like now as far as that goes?
Yeah. So I think I've hit 100 days on plan, which is the longest I've ever gone at really anything. So thank you. So very excited about that. So typically, you know, I'm part of kind of the full 4 fuelings a day kind of a girl. I don't drink coffee. So, you know,
now, are you serious?
I have my tea. I'm a tea drinker. I like my collagen tea, but coffee's never been. Now I'll tell you, I used to like an occasional cup of coffee on vacations with my husband.
Okay.
But it was with
You're gonna have to have a cup of coffee with me in Nashville, ma'am.
It was with all the sugar laden stuff. I haven't been able to figure it out with.
All right. Well, when we go to the THM Cafe, you're going to have to get one of those girls. They make a good cup of coffee.
I'm sure that.
And Amy C, if you don't like it, I'll drink it for you.
I like coffee. I like it. I haven't been able to tweak it to where I like it on THM. So the tea makes me equally as happy.
Oh, good. Okay, fine. All right, go ahead with your tea.
Yeah. So that's typically kind of what I have in the afternoons for my fuel pool. That makes me happy. I really do enjoy my collagen tea. And I like that because even at work, that's something I can fit into my schedule at work. I have the Vital Collagens, little packets at work. So I take those in my tea, and I got my big old bag of Super Sweet with me at work. So I do that there. It fits with me. The scheduling, the fueling hasn't been too much of a problem for me because I get hangry I'm very regimented when I eat. I block my calendar for work so that I can eat my lunch.
Amen.
I snack, right? Nothing comes in between me and my food. That was even pre-THM minus the snack. So that works out really well. I live in meetings, so my calendar is kind of how I survive anyway. So being able to block off my own time to do that really works well for me. Yep. And then, at work, we have a ton of temptations. I'm probably the worst one. I am constantly bringing in cookies and candy and everything for my team. And so, we're constantly around all the temptations, but it's been good. And, one thing I'll share from, we had a potluck. I remember, I think it was probably in January. We had a potluck at work, and I was so insecure about, I knew there wasn't going to be anything there I could eat. And even I was bringing off-plan stuff. And so I was worried about how I was going to make that work. And was I going to be able, and I had the whole debate in my head, like, do I go off plan? Do I just, what do I do? And I ended up, I brought some bread and I brought stuff, and I went over to my desk and I made my plate there at my desk, and I brought it back in the room with everybody else. And I was just like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to think I'm weird. No one said a word. No one looked at me. No one paid any attention to me. And that was like the biggest relief. And I was like, oh goodness, nobody even cared. And it was surprising for me. They did not care. So that was a huge victory for me, just kind of getting over that and realizing, oh, I can even do all these work functions on plan and it not be a problem.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah. What about because I know we'll get to your the way that you look, that progress. I don't know how to say that anyway. Have people noticed that at work? Because surely they have.
It's funny. My goal for this week was not looking for external validation, only because I feel like I look dramatically different, and I've not really received that many comments from family, from church friends, from work friends. Like, I haven't. And that was something that was kind of starting to get in my head. And I was just kind of like, oh, and then I was like, what? I don't care. Like, I'm doing this for me. And as long as I'm proud of myself, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And
I see it. I see it. I can see it. It is incredible. Yeah.
Pick stitch is my favorite thing because I have to do that for myself. It may sound vain, whatever. I don't care. No. Easter, I was comparing pics of me last Easter to this Easter. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing it, sis. You got this. And it feels good. So I'm proud of me. And it doesn't really matter if anybody else notices or says anything. Because at the end of the day, it's not for them. And so no, not many people, but it's okay.
Yes. Well, I'll be honest. I was a little sneaky with that question because I knew that was your goal. It caught my eye. I don't read all of them, but for some reason I had gotten into Mighty Networks as you were posting that, and I saw that, and so that's why I asked. But a lot of times that does come up in coaching. Nobody's noticing, and I'm like, such friend, you are not doing this for them. You're doing this for you. We do not worry. But let me just say, people have so much stuff going on with themselves. They cannot, especially a compliment these days, bless. If they're going to say something negative now, they will, but they are so, they are just so blinded by their own things. And that's okay. Cause I do that too. I do. I'm so busy with my own things. I don't notice others. And that's something that I think I could probably work on, but it's not that they are ignoring you or not seeing that change. They simply might not see it, and I think you have to let that go. Yeah, that's so good. I was being a little sneaky. I was.
You were sneaky. I see where you went.
It was so good. That was so good. Okay, so let's talk about what your progress has been, scale or size wise.
Yeah. So this past week, the day after we came home from vacation, I weighed to see if I did okay. I lost a pound, which I was excited about, and that put me exactly at my 20-pound mark. So I was very thrilled with that. So that's since January. So excited about that. And last time I measured, it was roughly around 15 inches kind of overall. So, which is one of the reasons why I think it's I guess it was just a lot of inflammation, right? I mean, that's why it's kind of like I see so much the difference in myself. But so yeah, it's been great to see that and to have reached kind of that milestone.
Yeah, and I've scheduled some posts. I was trying to see when yours is scheduled for your blooms thing. I can't find it. Oh wait, no, that's Brittany. Oh, I can't see. Anyway, it's coming. It's coming this week. This will air on April 17th. But we're recording it a few days earlier. So girl, I'm just so proud of you though. So what are some scale victories that you've noticed? What are some changes? Just, I mean, I see in your heart how you're really doing this for yourself. And you've put, like we've talked about, we use that word systems a lot. That's from Atomic Habits, but you have really made yourself a priority. So in the past, would you say that wasn't necessarily the case?
Oh, 100% not. I would come home from work. I would be tired. I'd lay on the couch. Then I'd talk myself out of cooking dinner. My family is the most chill family ever. So they would be like, I'll eat a bowl of cereal. We don't care. So that's a blessing and a curse in that they are so chill. And like I said, then I would just veg. I was never really active. I will say about a year ago, I had some things kind of going on, and I made a commitment to myself in April that I was really going to start pushing myself to be active, but I've never been able to do THM and be active at the same time, right? It was one or the other. My brain couldn't do both. It was overwhelming. So this was the first time that I was able to do that. So I've made a commitment to closing my rings on my Apple Watch every single day. So I've been very consistent with that. I do Pilates, club Pilates 2 times a week. I've been doing that since July of last year. I love that. And then on the other days, I'm walking, typically. It did over the winter, it was a little cold. I would do laps in my house. My family would know if they saw me just pacing back and forth, like I got to close my rings, right?
That's right.
So I made that commitment. And so that's been really good for me. And now being able to add that on at THM, I think that was good too, because it wasn't too much all at once for my body to try to adjust to, because I already had the activity underway. So
my story is similar. My story's similar. I started CrossFit in July of 2016 and then THM January 2017. So I had that, and not everybody's like that. This happens that you and I are, but you know, I had that exercise portion down. I wasn't good at it and I really hadn't lost any weight, but I was committed to it. And I've still been doing it 6.5 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. Yep. I haven't been this week yet. That's okay. I'm gonna go Wednesday and Thursday. I didn't sleep very well Monday night. I woke up and had a little sneezing fit, and I just couldn't quite get settled back down for a while, but I did. So that was good. Sometimes in my past, I never could get back to sleep, and so thankfully I can now. But anyway, that was just a weird thing. A little sneezing fit. All the outdoor activities we've done this weekend was catching up with me.
Yes.
So what other things NonScale Victory would you say you have?
Let's see, just it kind of goes back to I feel better overall. I have less, body aches, and the inflammation's gone. I definitely have more energy, so that when I do come home, I can go ahead and knock out, the dinner things or whatever. And so that's really been helpful. My headaches are gone. That is just, praise the Lord. That is probably one of the biggest blessings, because I think I have lived with headaches pretty much, I feel like, my whole life. But to really get to a point where I've not had headaches on a regular basis is just kind of mind blowing for me.
Do you think that's from keeping your blood sugar stable?
I'd like to think so. And really, I mean, the only caffeine I have now is, what's in my tea. I was a Coke addict, if you will. I mean, I'm pretty sure my mom was giving me Coke in a bottle when I was a kid. I mean, that's always been our beverage of choice. And that's what we would always drink. So trying to give that up. Ironically, this time around, it really is, again, it was just something I did, I committed to. And it hasn't been a problem. We were out to dinner the other night and my son was like, I mean, don't you still want to Coke sometimes? I'm like, actually, I haven't had that craving at all. Whereas in the past I have, and I would do the Zevias or, I think the Virgil drinks. But I kind of feel like those maybe almost made me want them more because it was kind of like close to it, but not the real
but
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So now I drink water, buys, vitamin waters, or tea. I mean, that's pretty much it for me now. So just having the clarity to stay focused, to do what I need to do. And then, finding this wonderful network of women. I found a friend, Jessica, who ends up living in the next county over from me. So she's super close and we chat all the time. So that's been an unexpected blessing. Jessica Lee.
Jessica.
Yeah. So she and I have met for dinner before. We're planning on meeting up for lunch again because she lives right by my work. So that's, again, I mean, that's a victory in itself, just having someone that does teach and with me that understands. We were on vacation last week and I Marco Polo'd her because I was with my family at a candy store and it smelled heavenly. And I was like, oh my goodness, you are the only person that's going to understand what I'm going through right now. And she's like, I know the exact candy store you're talking about. So that's a blessing too. Just having people that I can surround myself with who get it, whether it's the highs or the lows, y'all get it. So that's
so
amazing.
Special. So special. I love that. Very good. So let's see. So what exercise besides Pilates? You did walking?
I do walking.
You do that pretty frequently. I mean, each week.
Yes. So on the days that I'm in the office, my girlfriend and I, we eat lunch together every day. And then as soon as we're done eating, we have a bridge that connects two buildings and it's on a slight incline. And we do a mile on that bridge every single day that we work. We just book it there. So that's great. And then on the other days, my neighbor and I walk. We kind of started a little walking club with some of our neighbors. And so it's about a 2-mile stretch if we do kind of our normal routine there. So now that the weather's opening up, we can do that a little bit more. And then outside of that, sometimes I'll do Heather Robertson videos on YouTube for a little more strength training when I want to kind of kick my butt a little bit more. So that as well. So those are kind of the 3 things that I do.
That's amazing. So if you were to talk to somebody that was a THM veteran that just couldn't get it to click, like they'd been trying at it, they call themselves a veteran maybe, trying to get it done. But it just hadn't clicked. What would you tell them?
Just try your best to dig deep and reshift your mindset, right? Look back. What hasn't worked for you in the past and why has it not worked for you? And what can you do to mitigate that, right? What can we do to kind of change, to course correct? And it likely is just small tweaks that, again, don't have to be overwhelming. At least that was the case for me.
For sure. I agree.
And then again, I'd say newbie or veteran, just don't give up. If I just stayed consistent, even if it wasn't perfect, all these years, who knows where I would be, So that's definitely something else I'd say. And that's why that was my goal for 2023, right? Just don't quit. Like no matter what you do, don't quit, don't give up, just keep going and, don't let perfect get in the way of better. Because even one meal on plan is better than, eating McDonald's 3 times a day. So
yeah, for sure. Agreed. I love that. You did so good. This was excellent. Was there anything else you wanted to share about your story?
Oh goodness. I'll just share, I was the girl in addition to just eating poorly, right? I mean, I had gotten to the point where I was sneaking food. I was hiding food from my family. I was, using excuses to go out of the house. Oh, I got to run an errand. And while I was running an errand, I would be hitting up Dairy Queen and getting a Blizzard or, hitting up Taco Bell. I had turned into that junk food junkie and that's all I was doing. And this is recently, this isn't, years ago. This was, July through December of this past year. I really felt like I had gotten to that point where it was truly kind of like a food addiction. It had taken a hold of me. So again, knowing I stalked your page, right? I I was one, I'll share this too, right? When I found you and I was like, oh, I think I want to, do some coaching with Coach Amy, right? And then I was like, oh, I got to go through buds. Oh, well, I already know THM. Like, I don't need to go through buds. Like, I wanted to get to blooms, right? If that's you, go through buds and know that maybe you do already know. So maybe you can go ahead and start buds being 100% on plan because you know what to do. And maybe it's not 100%, right? But whatever it is, like, just go ahead and do buds. It's so much more than what you think it is. And then, like I said earlier, right, going into blooms, it was just like, whoa, I mean, truly, I think we're all blossoming, right? And I love how you named those. I just think that's adorable. And it's true. It is so true. And I just love, again, what you've created here. And so if that's you, you're in your head like, oh, I don't know if I want to have to do buds to do blooms. Yes, do it. You want to do it. It's well worth the investment. For both. And then, stalk your page. If the timing doesn't work out now and you don't want to do one-on-one, get on the early bird list and she'll email you just like she emailed me. And then it was like, okay, yay, now I got to get my mind right. And that would be my other thing, right? Go into it being fully committed. Again, trying to find ways to set yourself up for success so that you can invest in yourself and make the money worth it, right? Because I'm sure I've been guilty in the past of doing things half-heartedly and just hoping results will come, and make the results come this time. Just stick with it. We got this. And the program that you have set up in the community, we can do it. Whether we're perfect or not, we've got this. So thank you.
Yeah. And golly, that was an amazing commercial for Buds and Blooms.
I love it.
Good job. Oh, I'm so glad. I love that you love it. It just, one of my aunts was asking me some questions during the Easter thing. And then another, like a cousin, was talking to me about it. And I think she kind of watches some stuff, and she was like, it's really cool. Like all the people that you've helped. I'm like, cool's a word we could use. Sure. But it is just, it's extremely humbling that God would, I might tear up, but that God would use me to do this. And, when I've probably said this before, people have heard me say, but when I signed up for coaching, it was a huge financial investment for us. And I just told Wes, I said, I just hope I can pay this back. I just really hope I can pay this back. And boy, Heidi, have I. And it's just been a huge blessing to our family, my business, and being able to touch the amount of people that I've been able to. And not everybody sticks to it. Not everybody, they might not be ready yet personally. I might not have been their cup of tea, or whatever, or circumstances came up. But I feel like the majority of women that come through my coaching, they get something from it. And then I do have a lot like you as well, but it's just amazing. And I'd really count it a privilege that people choose me, for sure. And I'm going to work as hard as I can to get them where they want to be. I tell y'all that I'm always going to show up. I will always be here. You have absolutely to do that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm committed. I am. Yeah. Oh, so good. I love it. Good job. I'm super, super proud of you. And thank you so much for sharing all of your journey. I mean, that was just so good. You touched on so many points that I know people have issues with, and even if people, they hit that stall, if they know they keep going, it'll break.
Right.
Like, that is freeing. Just keep going. Who cares if you've gained a pound? Who cares if you haven't lost? Keep going. It didn't take 10 weeks for you to gain that weight, or to feel bad. It's gonna take a time. I told you guys, I believe it was in Blooms, if I'm not mistaken, the other night, there was a lady on the potty. I think her name's Cadence. Hers was a 10-year journey. 10 years.
Yes.
And it blew so many people's minds. And I'm like, yes, because I'm just listening to it go, that's right. Yes, 10 years. Yes. Because I'm here 6 years plus still doing it. And I still go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, but I stay in that middle. It's like right there, but it's a lifestyle. Trim Healthy Mama is a lifestyle. It's something that you're always going to do.
Right.
You're never going to eat sugar. I don't feel like I need to personally. Do you feel like that?
No, I mean, no, not anymore. Again, since my mind shift and trying, my goal, making sure, this is a lifestyle. So I had to figure out how I could make it sustainable so it could be the lifestyle and not a THM yo-yo, right? I had to stop that. And so, I'm not going to say I'll be 100% on plan forever and I'll never let, a piece of sugar cross my lips. I'm not going to say that. But for now, for me, where I'm at, I know I have to keep going down this path so that I can trust myself that should I have, something off plan, I can trust myself enough to know that I'll come back, because old me would have gone off and stayed off and would have been like, oh, but I wouldn't have done anything about it, and part of that for me too was doing this for myself, in that it was for my health, right? Not the number on the scale, not the weight loss. Because at some point, I'll just be honest with you guys, right? I didn't always care how I looked, right? So it was like, all right, whatever, okay, I'll just buy another pair of jeans. This is fine, right? So that wasn't motivating me. Now it has, but it wasn't motivating me to start. And I just knew I was really becoming unhealthy, and that, I needed to be here for my family. And so that was kind of, really what got me to where I needed to be, because otherwise I could come up with all the excuses why not to do it.
You can. And, I agree with you. I'm not going to say that I'll never have something off plan, because I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I did have a few off plan chips at the Mexican place because my kids accidentally brought the wrong bag of chips. And so I did have a few, but my meal was on plan. And I didn't have anything else off plan after the meal. And my next meal the next day was on plan. Like that, it did not bother me in that way. And so I think that is a very healthy place to be for most people. That's so good. And that's why I chose my business name as Southern and Healthy, not Southern and Skinny, or whatever you want to call it. I want to be, that was my goal. I want to help people be healthy. And that's one of my little tagline is empowering women to health one meal at a time. And that I want to empower you to help one meal at a time, not a week of 100% on plan at a time. That's not what I said, So, man, that's some good stuff.
You got me eating fruits and veggies, girl. You're doing it.
Hey, high five. I love it. I'm super proud. I didn't know that.
I have Coach Amy in my head, when I'm making my plates, I got to make sure they're colorful, they're pretty. And I mean, there's some serious guilt when last night, I'll be honest, I did not have a veggie with my meal. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. But 99% of the time I do, but it's just funny because it's like, okay, yep, I hear you. So it's good that I hear you though.
Yes. I love that I live in all y'all's heads.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I have a new one-on-one, and she said, you love those cucumbers, don't you? I'm like, I do, but they're an easy non-starchy. If my plate feels lacking, that's what I put on it.
Right.
Done. And it's not a leafy green, which I would say would be the best, but it's something. Mm-hmm. It's better than off plan, or it's better than being hangry and aggravated that I didn't have enough food on my plate.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I could talk about this forever. Thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. You want to tell them bye?
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.